Welcome to Home Means. I'm your host, Heather Brown, and this is a place where we uncover the real stories behind the people who make our state extraordinary. From unforgettable adventures to everyday moments that shape us, this podcast is all about the voices, the faces, and the experiences that make Nevada truly unique. Let's dive in, and let's get to the heart of what home means. On today's episode, I'm excited to talk to UNLV's very own President Chris Heavey. Chris, so you have been here for, over 30 years. What initially drew you to Southern Nevada, and what made you want to bring your family here?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Heather. I'm delighted to be with you today to talk about Nevada and all the things I love about it. I came here in 1992 to start as a young professor at UNLV, and my wife and I got married literally the week before we came to Las Vegas to settle down and start my job at UNLV. And we looked at places on the West Coast after I had finished my PhD that were kind of close to home. And we called this kind of California adjacent. And she was a young teacher, and they needed teachers, and we could afford to live here on a teacher and a young professor salary. And so we thought it was a good place to settle down, and we just started and then never left.
I love that you came here, got married, started your life. Like, that's a really fast trajectory. And you've had three children. Two children. Two boys. And you felt like this was a great place to raise them. And
we had a great experience. So the kids were born in the late 90s and did the whole public school sequence. And my wife was a teacher and then ended up as a principal in CCSD. And so we love CCSD, and the kids had a great experience and got a great foundation for the rest of their lives. They're now late 20s and have graduated from college and are off doing really exciting things.
I think, we want to dive into what the home means part of this. And when you look at UNLV, what does home mean when it comes to UNLV?
Well, I would say, obviously I owe my entire career to UNLV, and UNLV has been a central part of my life and the life of my family. But I also see UNLV as the anchor institution of Southern Nevada. And we've seen Southern Nevada change so extraordinarily rapidly over like 75 years. It's been on a rocket ship growth trajectory, and UNLV is trying to catch up to that and serve the needs of the Southern Nevada community. And we've seen the campus grow, and it's doing a great job putting out the kinds of professionals that this community needs. But it's a never-ending task because Las Vegas is continuing to grow, UNLV is continuing to grow, and the partnership between them, I think, is key because it's the only research university in this incredibly dynamic city that we all call home.
Yeah, 2.4 million people. That is a large universe to be the only research R1 for that area.
Absolutely. The needs of the community are tremendous, and I think everyone who lives here knows that we've been playing catch-up, trying to catch up to the number of professionals in almost every area that are needed to support the growing population of Southern Nevada.
Yeah, and I just look at the trajectory of the city, what you're saying, like it being the anchor institution, really for the state, but especially for the 74% of the population. I mean, our city has had to reinvent itself so many times. And I am really proud that UNLV, obviously I am wearing all my UNLV gear.
Appreciate it.
Proud alum. I'm really proud that the institution has also just not stayed in its ways, but pivoted and been very light on its feet to maneuver with, our partners. What do you, kind of looking forward, I know there's no plans to slow down, but is there anything that, UNLV is planning to kind of dip its toes into because they see it, like what's changing?
Yeah, so I'll just say, I agree with everything you said about being proud of what UNLV has been able to do to keep up with the needs of this community. One of the things that I think we have to acknowledge about higher education is it's often not known for being nimble. But UNLV, I think, has been a very dynamic place, and that's one of the things that draws people to it is a sense of kind of newness and an experimental attitude where you say, well, maybe we haven't done it before, but we can do it now, and we can be entrepreneurial, and we can move quickly. And so As you said, we've built a lot of programs that have been important. We added the School of Medicine, and we added a clinical psychology program. We added the law school. Our College of Engineering is growing really rapidly. Our College of Business is doing great. We need a new business building to help them support their growth. We're doing a lot of work in technology, cybersecurity, and we'll continue, I think, to grow in the healthcare space. We have the largest nursing program in the state, and we've also grown the most. Definitely don't want to slow down at all. There's a tremendous need in this community for the kinds of things we have to offer, and we'll keep growing in all of those different dimensions.
I love the overview too, because it really shows the reach that the university has. And you've lived here for 33 years. I grew up here. Everyone who's been here for any length of time understands that we don't exactly have the healthcare infrastructure that we need.
Right.
I like to give ourselves a little bit of a pass because we grew so quickly that we focused on infrastructure and transportation. And, I think we've done a really good job of keeping that up. And now we have to catch up with the, ancillary things that help. And I love that the university is going to be there lock and step with how the city and the county has to grow. So
yeah, I think that's a perfect way to describe it. I think about the Las Vegas Strip, and it's the most extraordinary, few miles in the world. And I often kind of marvel at how they did the engineering to make all of the kind of infrastructure necessary to have hundreds of thousands of people in such close proximity and so many tens of thousands of hotel rooms. But like you said, as you spread out from that, we need to have the infrastructure to support the population that serves all of those tourists and all the other businesses. And that has been a little bit of game of catch up because we've grown so fast. And definitely UNLV, I think, will continue to be at the forefront of doing that work.
Well, I'm definitely excited to watch the university grow. I mean, I know we're year over year, we're up on enrollment, and that's something to be very proud of when across the nation, those numbers are not the same trajectory. So it's a big shout out to the team that you have on campus and how much that they're actually putting into, and the messaging that higher ed can still be effective, but also going back to the nimbleness, right? Micro-credentialing, adding certification, things like these are all, you're meeting students where they are, and it's showing in the results of a student enrollment. So
yeah, when I talk to faculty and staff, I say that this isn't the golden age of higher education in the country, because I think in some places higher education is overbuilt, particularly like in the Northeast, where they're not seeing the kind of population growth that we're seeing in the Southwest. And there's a lot of institutions of higher education, often very close to each other. Here, we have 2 universities in Southern Nevada, only 1 research university, great community college partner, and tremendous growth. And so what I say to them is, like, where would you rather be than in Las Vegas or at UNLV serving the needs of this community?
You've been a part of this university doing this for 33 years, and that's huge. Multiply that by how many commencements, how many first gens, how many families.
Yeah.
And it's just it's really cool to just think about the ripple effect that higher ed can have, and we've seen it.
Higher education, if you look at the national data, its parents' income is a better predictor if someone gets a college degree than SAT scores. And it shouldn't be like that, right? We should make that opportunity available to everybody so that they recognize that this is their chance to make the future that they want. It's not a given. We also sometimes, have students who think it's going to be like a conveyor belt and I'm going to just show up and after 4 years you're going to hand me a degree and everything's going to be great. It isn't that, but it is absolutely an opportunity. It's also a meritocracy. The other thing I say to students coming in is that you will have the record at graduation that you deserve, that you've earned. And so take advantage of these years that you have here to basically accelerate your future and open up doors that you might not even dream about now if you do that work and take advantage of it.
And I will say, even I graduated in 2008, and I very much felt the culture was just graduate, confer degrees, check the box. And I can tell you from spending so much time on campus now that is not the attitude of the university. It is, are these students ready for the workforce? Are they ready to be on their own? Are they ready to use that degree and do something with it and not just hang it on their wall? And as someone who graduated in 2008, arguably one of the worst times to graduate, it is a nice feeling knowing that there is an empathy behind, their time they spend on campus to make sure that it's not just, the checking the boxes, but it's actually, are they prepared? And I think the micro-credentials is a really good example of that.
Yeah, and so we are definitely, thanks for mentioning that, spending a lot of time really thinking about how we build workforce readiness into every program and be very intentional about that. We're also doing things like really trying to amplify the number of high impact practices that students participate in. We know things like internships and undergraduate research and even study abroad. The students who participate in those things end up doing much better after they get out of college. I think about the main client of the university is not actually the student, it's the community, right? The state invests in us to offer a discounted, high-value degree so that the state can meet its workforce and other needs. And so the product that we produce is a student who goes out into the world able to add value to their employers and to our society generally.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think it's a really it's something that's not actually just spoken out loud. It's like we have to say the quiet things out loud, because at the end of the day, each student is they're getting taxpayer subsidized education.
Yeah.
And so it is the city and the regional economic development agencies, and it is the municipalities. It is everyone's job to make sure that there are the right type of jobs to keep those students there.
Yeah.
So I think it's really nice to hear that you understand that your actual client is the community, because the state is entrusting you to, take them from, no college degree to college degree, which will be a value add to the community. And so I think that is something that is a really important, juxtaposition to what people usually think higher ed is.
Yeah. Yeah. And so often it's that idea that the customer is the student, and we certainly want to serve our students. And I say to the students, every person here is to serve you, but it's serving them in meeting their educational goals so that they can go out and add value after they graduate. One of the things I mention is we have coming up in just a few weeks the Southern Nevada Leadership Forum, and I want to give a real shout out to the Provost Kate Corrigan for leading this effort, where we invite employers onto campus for a day to talk about what do you need from us, so that we make sure that we as the educational institution are being responsive to those needs, and we're hearing directly from the employers about their experience with graduates so that we can make adjustments and again go back to our people, faculty and staff, and make sure that we're being responsive to those needs.
So I'm glad that you guys are continuing to do it and recognizing that it's not just a handout of like, hey, how can you help us? It's, hey, this is what we're offering. Yeah. How can that help you, which help our students, which help the community? And there's a big symbiotic relationship that keeps UNLV at the heart of it.
100%. I mean, I always say that great universities need their communities, but great universities also need to serve their communities.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, from your time as provost, obviously professor, and you worked your way up, provost, and now president, we've kind of touched on it, because there's so many things that UNLV is involved in, and the ways that they are, the lifeblood of this community. But if somebody had never stepped a foot on campus, what is one thing that you want them to know?
I want them to know, and I'll say at the outset for your question, it's a perfect question, because there's so many people in Las Vegas who never have set foot on campus. As I said earlier, there's so many doors that no one ever opens up. But if you go into rooms, that have electron microscopes and DNA sequencers and all of the kinds of things that are involved in doing world-class, groundbreaking research, they're on our campus. You're just not seeing them because you're not going into those buildings. So we want people to know that you don't need to go further than Maryland Parkway to get a world-class education.
I mean, and I love all the billboards that talk about how our scientists are involved with Mars rover, and we just were talking with Zach Miles how some of our scientists had something to do with Artemis going around the moon. Like we have space programs happening on our campus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm so proud of Dean Rama for everything he's done with the engineering building, or the engineering college, over the last 15 years. There's so many amazing hidden gems, and I agree. And I guess that kind of gets me into my next, I get really sick and tired of hearing there's no school spirit, because I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I graduated. I felt it when I was on campus. I feel it when I'm out of campus. I feel it when I'm at an arena. But obviously if that's a rhetoric that plays in some spaces, then there's obviously some things that we can do. What is something that, minus just talking about all the incredible academic things, how can UNLV insert itself more to show that its school spirit is alive and well, and that could be attractive to incoming seniors?
Yeah, so definitely we want to continue to work on that. So what sometimes people will characterize it as a commuter campus, because a lot of students live at home. I call it a family campus, where a lot of those students aren't, wanting to pay the cost of living in a dorm, but they're wanting to have the full college experience. And so they can be with their family and have that full college experience. And we do want to get them increasingly involved in all of the athletic events, all of the performing arts events, all of the incredible lectures that we have on campus. We invite world famous people to our Barrick lecture series to give amazing talks, and there's many different kinds of enrichment that go with the full kind of array of what a campus can offer. What I would say is that a lot of our students are working. They're, coming from, background where they, are working hard to make sure that they don't accumulate a lot of debt while they're going to college. And UNLV is very affordable. I want to get that message out there, because a lot of times people just think college isn't affordable. I think you can get a college degree at UNLV for roughly the cost of a Honda Accord if you're an in-state student and you live at home. And you can work on campus, and you can often get really good scholarships. About 25% of our students go for free. But basically, because those students are busy in their lives, sometimes they don't have the time to go out to the football game or to the play that's happening. But we're going to keep engaging them, and over time, as the university gets older, we're going to have more and more alumni who feel incredibly proud of the opportunities that UNLV gave them because of the time that they had on campus.
And I'm making it a point this academic year to go to more of the soccer games and baseball games.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that the women's and men's play back to back, and then there's a tailgate in between, which is like such a fun family, opportunity. Hot dogs, hamburgers, like that. Go out there and watch our incredible Rebels. Yeah. And, both of our men's and women's golf team made the tournament this year. Yeah. Our baseball team is killing it. Our hockey team won their championship. I mean, there's so many things to be proud of. I love that our athletics are not just about the wins on the board, but who they are as people. And I see that when I go to the athletic programming. Yeah. He really does hammer home on that. And so it's just special to see them do well in school, but also do well on the field or the court.
I remember when I was back teaching Psych 101 as a young professor, I remember this guy who was sitting in the front row, and he was a really big guy, and I started talking to him. I like to get to know the students as much as possible, and he told me he was a lineman on the football team, and after he graduated, he went on to med school, and now I'm sure he's out there as a doctor, serving the healthcare needs. I can't remember his name, but I certainly remember his face, and I know he's just one of so many examples of students who have, like you said, excelled in the classroom while excelling on the athletic, field of competition, and gone out into the world to do amazing things. Incredibly proud of them.
And we know that very few athletes go on to professional level. Yeah. And so it is important that they spend this time in college, right? Like I tell students all the time, this is the only time of your life where you will get to see your friends every day and make your own schedule and, really guide your own path. Yes, you might be working, but this is the only time that you will get to be around people and choose to be in sports and do all these things. And so I think it's really good that not only are there so many opportunities for them, but it's taking those leadership skills and honing them into what actually can be used in the real world. Look for those skill sets too.
Yeah, so. Sure, signs of character, all of them.
Yeah. So you obviously, you're leading the largest institution in the state, almost 33,000 students. Yeah. Obviously there's a lot of pressure, and so many things to juggle all at once. What keeps you grounded as the leader of the institution?
What keeps me grounded is absolutely the impact. And, I've had the chance to be around here so long to see thousands of students, like you said, graduate and meet many of them years later to talk about the incredible life they've been able to lead because of the experiences they had at UNLV. And so knowing that the work that we do is so important. And I say that to our employees, it's like, I hope you feel honored to work here, because this is mission-driven work. This is the kind of job that people want to have, where their day-to-day work leads to true impacts in the lives of individuals and in the broader world.
Yeah, I feel like there's very few professions where you can do exactly what you just said. Point to that years down the road and say, that was my student. I'm really proud of them. Look what they're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I had the chance to be a kind of leader in the clinical psychology doctoral program that we started. We are the largest city in the country that didn't have its own clinical psychology doctoral program. We started that in 1999, and I led it from about 2000 to 2005. And now those clinical psychologists are in leading roles all over Nevada, doing really important things. And so I get to see the impact of that one program, but obviously we have hundreds of programs like that at the university, where so many professionals work every day to train the next generation of leaders.
Well, and I know majority of our students do end up staying. Obviously, that is the dream, right? We talked about taxpayer subsidized education. We want them to stay.
Yeah.
And it's nice that there's that connection here.
Mm-hmm. And like you're saying, they build the connections, all along the way. When I say to, parents or kids who are going off to college and trying to make that decision, I say, don't worry too much about it, because you can have a great experience anywhere. College is what you put into it. But if this is where you want to be, you're going to be able to build those connections right from day one at your university and in the broader community. And you're going to get an affordable education at a world-class institution, and you're going to be well prepared to serve this community, being really well grounded. So it's a great option to stay here at UNLV and get a degree for, roughly $10,000 a year is the sticker price, but most students pay less than that by the time they get financial aid and scholarships. And we give out millions, tens of millions of dollars of all of that every year to make it very affordable.
And I appreciate that we have maintained an affordability. We know who our community is, right? There's only 35% of Clark County residents have higher ed credentialing. So we are selling a opportunity that not everybody takes advantage of. So we have to remain nimble, which we've already covered, and we have to remain affordable, because, people just don't make as much money here as maybe on the coastal states.
Yeah, and a lot of the students, when we talk to the students, affordability is the top of their mind. And certainly, we've heard in the media about the talk about a student debt crisis. We don't want students to graduate with $200,000 worth of debt. We want to make it so that they can get the degree with little or no debt. Even most of the students don't take loans. The students who do take loans average about $25,000 worth of debt by the time they graduate. Again, it's roughly like a car payment kind of thing, which hopefully is manageable for them. And support from the community to help those high talent, high need students is vital. And so love it when people donate scholarship dollars. My wife and I have an endowed scholarship that we've created for kids who come from Valley High School, which is where our kids graduated. So proud of that too. And we've done a lot to try to make sure that we're providing good support. We have an incredible financial aid office that will help students think about how to make college affordable. And we also started something we call Rebel Ready Week, which is a week that students come in before classes start to basically get oriented to how to be successful in college, meet students, and make some friends and create that sense of belongingness before they have to go take that first test or listen to the first lecture. And so we're really excited about that, and we think that will also help build school spirit and kind of get students to understand that college is more than just what happens in the classroom, and it can be so much more than that.
When I found out about that, I got so excited, because I remember being a freshman and being completely lost. I didn't think about logistics. I didn't think about I'd have to actually walk there, and what if I had to talk to my professor afterwards? Yeah, that first semester was rough.
Yeah, definitely it helps to have a chance to ask a lot of questions and make sure that we have people who can give good guidance. I remember, meeting someone who actually works at UNLV, who got her degree at UNLV, and she's a great employee, great professional. But she said to me, she didn't make one friend while she was at UNLV, and I thought, oh, that's so frustrating and so sad to hear. Like you said, by the time I got out of college, I have so many lifelong friends from that experience because I was able to do the things outside the classroom that make those lifelong bonds.
I recently just filled out a survey on how I would talk to students, and I said, try out clubs, find your people, because that's the best part about a higher ed institution is that you have the opportunity to be your genuine self.
Yeah.
And there's so many clubs and so many people that are there also looking for their people.
Right.
So just, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not your favorite thing, show up, give it a try. You never know.
One of the things that, we're thinking about broadly is that the virtual world of social media and the kind of engagement that people have in that now sometimes can detract from people's desire and kind of motivation to get out there and make the real friends and have the real connections. And so I 100% agree with what you said. Your people are there. There's 33,000 students. There's tens and dozens of people like you who want to be your friends, but you might have to do a little bit of kind of getting yourself out there to be able to find them. And we've got more than 200 clubs. One of those clubs is got people in it who are like you and want to be your friend. Students come for a credential, and their idea is that the credential will help them get a job. And one of the things I think that you said that's really important is get them to think about the credential. You're coming for the credential, but really what you want are the skills and the connections and the experiences. The credential may be important, and in some professions, it's totally the cost of entry. If you're going to be a nurse, you're going to need that degree. If you're going to be a doctor, so many different things. But really, the students shouldn't be just thinking about what is the grade on the test. It's what have I learned? What can I do? What connections have I built? All of those things will be central in what they're able to achieve after they get out of college.
Yeah, 100%. Because the world will not give you a test and expect you to get a perfect score and then move on. They are going to say, great, you know that information. How do I use it?
Yeah.
How does that help our organization grow, scale, build, whatever your job is? So, yeah, it's nice that higher ed is also taking that approach.
Yeah, and we could talk for an hour about AI and how that's going to change the face of higher education in the world more broadly. But I think that underlines also the notion that getting the grade on the test may be a prerequisite for getting the credential that you want to get, and the employers are going to look at those things like your GPA and evaluating your dedication, but underlying that, the skills and what you can do is going to be most important in this age where knowledge is at people's fingertips more than it's ever been.
That's right. Well, obviously you're busy all day, every day. We've already outlined it's the largest institution in the state. So many different colleges and so many different, tentacles into the community. But there has to be some moments where you're not working. What are some hobbies you like to do?
Well, I would say I love to bike. I'm a mountain biker. I got into that a long time ago, and I've done that even more lately. And so going out on the trails is amazing, but I also do road biking, so that's a lot of fun. I'd say that's my number one hobby. Obviously, do some reading, some watching movies and stuff like that, but I especially love biking.
It's good. I mean, look, I know we have miles and miles and miles of bike trails, and not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, it's an incredible biking city, both paved trails for road bikes and then mountain biking every direction you look. If anywhere you're standing in the city, turn any direction, there's great mountain biking.
Okay, we are going to get into a little rapid fire. What is your favorite local restaurant?
I would have to say King's Fish House, but I would also mention Crazy Pita, which I love to go to for lunch after a bike ride.
Yeah. What is a must-visit spot for newcomers?
Definitely Red Rock, which everyone knows, but I would also say Valley of Fire, which fewer people get to, but is definitely as spectacular as Red Rock.
Yeah, we have the Red Wave that is famous in Arizona. We have them there, and there's no limitation of going, so That's a good one. What's a hidden gem in Southern Nevada?
Well, I thought, definitely Valley of Fire. let me just expand it. Our kids were Boy Scouts, and there's just incredible camping everywhere. Within 2 hours, any direction of Las Vegas, there's incredible camping. Obviously, Zion National Park, Bryce National Park, Mojave Preserve, Death Valley. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about that's not far is Kelso Dunes. Kelso Dunes is a really, really incredible place about 90 minutes from Vegas in the Mojave Preserve.
I've never been. I'll have to check it out. What is your go-to coffee shop?
Starbucks.
Starbies.
Yep.
What's your favorite place to unwind?
I'm a fan of a happy hour. I've been, Chicken and Pickle's a good one, but there's a lot of good places to go out with friends to sit down and have a beer after work.
What is one must-have experience for visitors?
Well, go back to the Sphere. So the Sphere, I love to look at it from the outside, but it is amazing inside. And I say to everybody I can now, it is the best concert venue in the world by far. Nothing compares to the Sphere. And so seeing a concert or anything, they have some great movies and stuff in there. I also think it's really fun to just go down to the Strip and see the Chihuly, chandeliers and the Bellagio and just walk around in that conservatory and all those properties, the Wynn. Anytime I'm in the Wynn properties, the Wynn or the Encore, that just makes me happy. There's such beautiful properties. So seeing the Strip also.
Yeah, I love the curation of those properties. I love an elevated walkthrough experience, so I totally agree. And my last question, what is the most underrated perk of living in Nevada?
Well, there's so many great things about living here. I'm going to say the trash service is unbelievable.
Yes.
When I have people who visit from out of town and say, oh, yeah, you can put it all, take it. It's not very expensive. I love Republic services, and I also love the parking. When you go to places, there's parking. It's not hard to drive. It's not hard to park. It's a very easy city to live in.
I am smiling so big because I could not agree more about Republic services. I used to live in Washington, D.C., and do you know how difficult trash was? If I had anything bulk, I had to schedule it. They'd come in approximately like 13 to 15 business days. I could put 7 items out, and none of them could be cardboard. And it was like, and you're living in a small apartment. Like, nothing is convenient. And here it's like every other week it's bulk day. Just put it out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends at Republic Services all day long.
Yeah, it's just such an incredible city to live in. We also, I guess, could say the airport because it's so easy to get in and out of. You can fly anywhere. There's just so many perks about being here.
8th busiest airport in the country, and we only have 2.4 million people who live here, but it's the 46 million visitors that make it possible for us to have such a robust airport. Shout out to the airport authority too, because I love having 160 nonstop destinations. I can go anywhere. Totally agree.
Totally love it too.
I love this town.
Yeah.
Well, President Heavey, thank you so much for taking some time. I really just enjoy always talking all things UNLV, but I want to just say your leadership has been something just to really admire, and I'm really excited to continue to work with you. And I couldn't agree more. This community needs UNLV, and UNLV needs the community. And I think you're the right person to lead us to the next phase.
Thanks so much for having me. A great conversation. Love spending time with you. I'm really proud to have the opportunity to lead the institution that I love and that has done so much for this state and so much for me personally.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.